Emulation has been a task that has been largely handled by Android and Windows devices for quite a while, with Linux devices also doing a pretty good job with these. However, that is something that changes with the release of the Delta emulator for iOS. This emulator doesn't just emulate one console and calls it a day, but it is a hub for different emulators, and this is the first large-scale emulator that we get for the iPhone. This is Francisco from One Short Dr. Phone, and in this video we're going to talk about how to get this emulator, how to use this emulator, and some of the cons of using this emulator. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So welcome to another video on our channel where we offer all kinds of mobile solutions, and today we're offering a solution to your gaming needs on your iPhone. So I've been an Android user for the past couple of years, and I've been emulating games on Android this entire time as well. I've been using other Android devices for emulation as well, and they've all been incredible. This is something that iPhones have lacked for practically the entirety of their existence, and that is one big reason why I stopped using an iPhone for a few years. However, since I haven't used an iPhone full time since the iPhone SE, the first one, I have not been used to the lack of flexibility in the device that I carry with me in my pocket. Up until December 2023, when I switched back to iPhone with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and for a while after getting it, I haven't been playing any games at all on my iPhone. This is a big deal, not for me, but for so many people, because this hasn't been available to the regular iPhone user at all. The fact that Delta was brought over to iOS means that an additional 30% more or less of mobile phone users now have access to emulation in their pockets. Now, like I said earlier, they don't just have access to a single console for emulation, because Delta is capable of emulating NES, SNES, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS, all in one emulator app, which is why we're going over how to get the app, how to set it up, and what the performance is like. Getting the emulator to begin with is extremely easy. All you have to do is access the Play Store on your iPhone and search for Delta Emulator. It will be the one with the purple logo, and immediately download it. Once you've downloaded it, just open it, and then you will access the main interface. If you have the ROMs available on your iPhone already, then just click on the plus button on the top right and select Files. Search for the ROM that you want to play on your iPhone's Files app, and then select it. Some emulators within Delta will require BIOS files as well in order to work. I can't tell you where to get those BIOS files for obvious reasons, but they are extremely easy to find. So if you want to play DS games on your iPhone, then you do need those BIOS files as well. You can also click on the gear icon on the top left to access some of the settings, including choosing controller skins for whatever system you want to emulate. You can also start importing BIOS files directly if needed, depending on what you would like to emulate on your device. Once you have all of your files ready to go, you just have to tap the ROM on your screen and it will load right away. Now, what about performance on the Delta emulator? Well, I decided to test out the DS emulator, which runs on the Melon DS backend on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Granted, at the time of filming this video, this is the best iPhone that you can possibly get, as it is the most powerful one. And on this device, yes, performance with a game like Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days is flawless. You also get haptic feedback response when you press any of the buttons on this emulator, which is great. You have your usual things such as save states, the ability to load states on the fly, cheat codes, fast forward option, and the ability to force the emulator to press buttons for you if you're into that. And you might be wondering if you need the best iPhone in the business to get good performance out of this emulator, because most people do have older iPhones. So to show that, even if you are using an older iPhone, you can still get great performance, even while emulating DS games with the Delta emulator, which is probably arguably the most demanding form of emulation that you can do at the moment on the iPhone. I decided to test out this same game and same emulator using the oldest iPhone that can be used as of April of 2024, the iPhone 10 from 2017. So on the iPhone 10, you will still get very similar performance to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, even to this day. Performance with Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days is fantastic here, and I would expect nothing less from a flagship like this even many years later. So if you do have an older iPhone, including the iPhone 10R, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, you should still expect really good performance as of now. Now, what are some of the cons of using this emulator in its current state? At this time, this emulator does not support any form of resolution scaling for games, meaning that you can't force games to look any nicer than their native resolution, which is a shame, and I do think that most iPhone users won't be able to really push their devices as much as they should be able to technically speaking. There also aren't too many customization options regarding switching to other backends if needed or if preferred. There isn't much that you can touch and play around with. I find this emulator to be very easy to use, but that's mostly because I'm used to dealing with emulators on Android and on PC. For others who may not be savvy with emulators already, they might struggle to get things off the ground, but this isn't unique to the Delta emulator. Follow the guide I provided earlier in this video to get the ground running. And lastly, performance will vary between iPhone and other iOS devices that you decide to use for emulation. Also, compatibility with older versions of iOS might be a little wonky, so it may not be the best experience with iPhone 7 and 7 Plus and older if you can get the app to download at all. So what did you think about our take on the Delta emulator for iOS? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and let us know if you were left with any questions whatsoever about the usage and performance. This is so far a really solid emulator and a fantastic start to the potential emulators that will be available on iOS, and also to the potential of more consoles that can be emulated through Delta. Thank you for watching. Like the video for more content just like this, comment any of your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for content just like this. Until next time, have a good one.